Hello everyone. Well, in this video, I'm going to discuss how you can generate the extent report for the karate test execution. First, let me give you an example of the sample report. So this is how the extent report looks like for the karate test execution. On the left hand side, you will see the title of all the feature file which were executed. And when you click on the title, it will give the detail about the scenario and its corresponding steps. So we will see how we can generate this kind of report for the karate test execution. So the first thing what we need to do is to add the dependency for the extent reporting framework in our project pom.xml. So for that, I will navigate to the Maven repository and look for this particular group ID. And then I will select the extent report. And from here, you can select the version which you want to add it in the pom.xml as a dependency. So I will select this version and add this information in the project pom.xml file. Now once this is done, let us look at our parallel runner which we are using for execution of the karate test. So when the execution is done, all the information about the execution are stored in the object of type results. Let us look at this particular class. So inside this class, we have scenario result, using which we can get the object of scenario. And using this object, we can get the object of the feature. And using the feature object, we can get the information about the feature itself, such as name, tags, description, and so on. In the similar manner, we can use the scenario object to get the information about the scenario, such as its name, description, and so on. In the similar manner, using the scenario result object, we can get the step result. And using the step result object, we can get the information about the steps and its execution status. So using the step object, I can get the information about the step. And using the result object, I can get the information about the step execution status. So I'm going to use all these classes to get the required information which we need for generating the extent report. So the type of report which we are going to generate is BDD style. So this is the official documentation of extent report, and these are the API which we need to use in order to generate the BDD style of extent report. So inside the top level package, let me add one more runner, and let me call it as parallel runner with extent report. And let me copy this test method to our current class. And here I'm going to use the code which will generate the extent report for us. Let me add one more package, and in that package I'm going to create a custom class that will generate the extent report. So the package name is config.report. Inside this package, let me add a new class and let me call it as custom extent report. So this class is going to follow builder design pattern. And the reason why I'm using the builder design pattern is because whatever the information which we need for the report generation, that is already present inside the object of result class. We just need to build the report using all those information. So inside this class, I'm going to add some private variable. And for the extent report, I'm going to use the community edition. And because of that, I can only use extent spark reporter or extent klog reporter. So in the current case, I will use extent spark reporter. Then I'm going to create the constructor for this class. In the constructor, I will initialize this variable. After this, I'm going to add couple of public method, which is going to initialize all this configuration. Public void with report dir. And this method is going to take the string parameter, which will point to the report directory. this dot report dir equal to report dir. So the return type of this class, I'm going to change it to custom extent report because I want to use the same object to specify the configuration. So I will use here return this. We know that in the Java language, this is a keyword which always point to the current object. So whenever I create the object of this class and call this method on that object, all the configuration will be applied on the same object. So let me create the another public method for remaining configuration. And the parameter to this method is of type results test result. Return this. One more method for the report title, and the parameter to this method is of type string, and this will represent the report title. After this, I'm going to create one more public method, and the return type of this method is void, and the name of the method is generate extent report. The responsibility of this method is to use all this configuration and then generate the extent report. So let me list down all the steps which I'm going to follow in order to generate the extent report. First, I'm going to put a if check. If the report directory and the test result are not present, then I'm going to throw the exception because these are the two configurations which we need to generate the extent report. So after that, we are going to use the test result to get the list of scenario result. Once we have list of scenario result, we are going to iterate over it. And for every iteration, we are going to get the scenario object from the scenario result. Using this scenario object, I will get the information about the feature file. Using the same scenario object, we will get the information about the scenario. Then using the scenario result, we will get the list of step result. Then loop over the list of step result to get the information about the step and its corresponding execution status. So after this, use all those information to generate the extent report. So these are the steps which I'm going to follow to extract all the information which we need for generating the extent report. So here I'm going to put a if check. If this dot report dir is not equal to null and this dot report dir is not empty, and this dot test result is not null. Under these conditions only proceed with the report generation, otherwise throw the runtime exception. And once we have all the condition fulfilled, then I will add the return statement at the end. So first we need to extract the scenario results. So for that I'm going to create a private method. Private, and the return type of this method is list of scenario result, and the name is get scenario result. Return this dot test results dot get scenario result, and I'm going to call this method here. After that, we are going to extract the feature name and the feature description. So let me create two more private method for that. Private, the return type of this method is string, and the name of the method is get feature name, and the parameter to this method is of type scenario result. I'm going to use the return statement scenario result dot get scenario. This method is going to return the object of scenario class, And then I'm going to call the method that is getFeature. This will return the object of feature class. And in that class, we have a method that is getName, which will return us the name of the feature. In this similar manner, you can get the feature description also. And the method to use for getting the feature description is getDescription. And I'm going to call both of this method here. So string feature name equal to getFeatureName, and the parameter to this method is scenario result. Now, as you can see here, the scenario result is a list. So we need to iterate over this list. So for that, I'm going to use scenario result dot for each. And inside this method, I'm going to pass the lambda. So when we iterate over this list at a given time, this variable is going to point to one of the item which is present inside this list. In the similar manner, I will get the feature description. Now we have the feature name and feature description with us. Now let us add this information in the extent report. So let me open the API documentation for the extent report. So in order to generate the BDD style report, I need to follow this API calls. So first we need to call the method that is createTest that will take the information about the feature. So let me create one more private method here. And the return type of this method is of type extendTest. So this is the class which is used for adding the test in the extent report. Now before I provide the implementation of this method, let me create two more variables. So private extend test. The name of this variable is feature node, and one more private variable of type string that represent the feature title. So this is the approach I'm going to use for the implementation of this method. If the title of feature is same, I will return same instance of extend test. Else I will create a new instance and then return it. So let us look at the existing feature file. Inside a feature file, we have multiple scenarios, and every scenario have multiple steps. So in order to make sure that right steps are tied up to a correct scenario and correct scenarios are tied up to the right feature file, I am following this approach. If the feature title is same, all the scenario node will be tied up to the same feature node. If the feature title is different, that means we need to create a new feature node and all the upcoming scenario node will be tied up to that feature node. And same goes for the scenario steps. So if this dot feature title dot equals ignoring case. So one more thing I need to do is to initialize this variable with empty string. And also I need to pass certain parameter inside this method. The first parameter is the feature name, and the second parameter is the feature description. Then I'm going to do the comparison. If this condition is true, then I'm going to return the existing instance of extend test. Otherwise, I'm going to create a new instance of extend test and then I'm going to return the newly created one. And here I'm going to update the feature title for the subsequent comparison. And then we will create a new instance, feature node equal to extend report dot create test. The Gherkin keyword which we need to use is of type feature.class, and make sure that the feature class is coming from the extend report framework. Name is feature name and description is the feature description. And after that, I'm going to return this node. In the similar manner, I'm going to create one more method, and that will be applicable for the scenario node. So for that, I need to create two more private variable, and the second one is scenario title. Now for this method, I need to pass an additional parameter that represents the feature node to which this scenario node will be tied up. And I will change the parameter accordingly. And I'm going to use the feature node to attach the scenario node. So this will be scenario node equal to feature node dot create node. The Gherkin keyword will be scenario.class, and make sure that the scenario.class is coming from the extend report framework. And now I'm going to use this two method in our loop. So first we are going to create the feature node, extend test, feature node equal to create feature node, feature name and feature description. So after this, I'm going to get the scenario title. For that, I will add one more private method. Private string get scenario title. And the parameter to this method is scenario result. Return scenario result dot get scenario dot get name. And then I'm going to use this method here. After that, I'm going to create the scenario node using the feature node. So extend test scenario node equal to create scenario node. The first argument to this method is the feature node, and the second one is the scenario title. So far we have created the feature node as well as the scenario node and associated the scenario with the feature node. Now let us start creating the node for the scenario steps. So in order to get the step result, we need to use the scenario result object. So scenario result dot get step result. And as you can see here, the return type of this method is a list of step result. So I need to add a for each loop so that I can iterate over the list. And I'm going to add the lambda for this for each loop. And here I will have the logic of adding the scenario step with the scenario node. So I'm going to create one more private method that is going to attach the scenario step with the scenario node. Private void add scenario step. And the parameter to these methods are extend test that represent the scenario node, and the step, as well as the step result. Now make sure that you add the result class without s. So using this object, I will extract the information about the step, and using this object, I will extract the information about the execution of the step. So inside this class, if you look at, we have prefix as well as the text. The prefix is going to return us the Garrigan keyword, that is, whether it's given, when, then, or and. Whereas the text is going to return us the step title. In the similar manner, for the result, using the status, we can get whether the scenario step is passed, failed, or skipped. And using the error, which is of type throwable, we can get the information about the failure. So first I'm going to extract the required information. The first thing I need to extract is type. So step dot get prefix. So this method will return given, when, or then. Then we need to extract the scenario step title. So step dot get text. Then we need to extract the information about the execution. So string status step result dot get status and the error information. So throwable error equal to step result dot get error. Then I'm going to add a switch statement because based on the type, we need to add the corresponding node to the scenario node. And let me also create a variable of type extend test. So this variable will be used for setting the pass or fail status in the report. So switch on type. So the first case is for given, and in the similar manner I will add the switch case for the other Garrigan keyword. So here I will use scenario node dot create node. Garrigan keyword is of type given dot class and step title. And this method is going to return us the type of extend test. So I will initialize our step node variable here. And in the similar manner I will use for other Garrigan keyword. And for the default case, I will just append the type as well as the title. So type space and the step title. After this, I need to associate the pass or the fail status with the step node. So for that, I will create one more private method, private void add status. The parameter to this method are extend test, step node, string status, and the error object, that is throwable. So in this method, I will add switch case. And this time the switch case will be based on the status. So if the status is passed, I will call step node dot pass, and I will not specify any details here. In the similar manner, if the status is failed, I will call step node dot fail and attach the error object. And for the default case, I will add step node dot skip and again empty detail. And I'm going to call this method inside this switch block. Step node status error. And then I'm going to call this method inside the loop. So scenario node. So using this variable, I can get the information about the step as well as its execution status also. So step dot get step and step dot get result. And in the end, I need to call extend reports dot flush to generate the report. Now let us use this builder class in our parallel runner. Custom extend report equal to new custom extend report dot with karate result, that is result dot with report dir result dot get report dir and dot with title karate test execution report. And after this, let me also add some styling to the report. So let me create private method here, private void set config. So inside this method, I will add some configuration which will be focused on the styling of the report. So extend spark reporter dot config dot enable offline mode. I will set it to true. Extend spark reporter dot config dot set document title. This will be the report title. Extend spark reporter dot config dot set timeline enable. I will pass this value as true, and I will also change the theme config dot set theme dot dark, and I'm going to call this method inside the if block. And before that, I need to initialize the extend spark reporter. And also I need to attach it. After this, I'm going to delete the directory where we have the existing report. And then I'm going to run the runner. And here I will call extend report dot generate extend report. So let me put a breakpoint over here at line number 61 and run this runner in debug mode. Okay, so we are inside our generate extend report method. So this is the name of the feature and there is no description. And let me put a breakpoint in this if block as well as after that and continue with the execution. On comparing with the existing title with the incoming title, both are different. So it is going to create new instance of extend test and return it back. So let us see again what is the feature name and feature description. So it's the same. So in this case, the condition will be true and it is going to return the existing instance of the extend test. And let me just remove the breakpoint and continue with the execution. So now let us look at the generated report. Look for the index.html, and this is the report. So we have captured everything, all the feature file, corresponding scenario and their step. So in this manner, you can generate the extent report for the karate test.